What's up guys, Ryan from Cortex Labs, livecortex.com, where we talk about performance optimization from the perspective of the brain, primarily using nootropics, and energy optimization from the perspective primarily of modifying androgen function and hormones to function awesomely. Thanks so much for being with me. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, hit the subscription box and the bell to get notified of everything we do, because at this point I'm pumping out 3 or 4 or more videos per week and so much more content to come, my friends. All right, so let's talk about unhealthy people needing more nootropics. And I know that sounds like super clickbaity and that I just got you here and saying unhealthy people need more nootropics, but actually it's true. But I want to break down what unhealthy means, because it isn't necessarily that, I don't know, you eat fast food exclusively and your body's really unhealthy and your cholesterol levels are super high. I just mean either dietary choices or sleep choices or testosterone levels or stuff that maybe you can't really help right now, like pharmaceutical agents that are reducing anxiety, that are blocking neurotransmitter signaling, as far as other excitatory neurotransmitters go. So from what I've seen in my consulting practice, there are a few different categories that put people in a place where their response to nootropics is different than a person that perhaps doesn't have their deficiency. Like a person with low testosterone is going to require more nootropics than a person with higher testosterone. Okay, so I want to break down a bunch of different examples and sort of explain a couple of key points for folks to understand, really in the interest of targeting the optimization of other health parameters so that you can get the best out of nootropic stack. First, let's talk about the pharmaceutical anti-anxiety. Look, I get a lot of clients on board that have been, or in the past, or are now, God forbid, taking a pharmaceutical anti-anxiety medication or a pharmaceutical depression medication, and those medications are essentially muffling or blocking the action of acetylcholine in their brain. Acetylcholine is a pretty important memory and focus neurotransmitter that, when it's blocked by certain other pharmaceutical compounds or agents, it can't function normally. So in these cases, these people actually respond to nootropics in vastly different ways than you or I would. They respond in a way which they require higher doses of cholinergics to, number one, get effects, but then secondly, get good effects. These are the people that can take a gram of aniracetam, a gram of oxiracetam, and a choline source, and maybe some teocrine, hopefully, if you've got a intelligently formulated stack, and do that 3 or 4 times a week, which is totally counter to a lot of the stuff that I say, and frankly get away with it and function really good. And they don't have side effects on those higher doses of racetams. Whereas a person that's not taking a pharmaceutical GABAergic, like an anti-anxiety medication, may be taking, may try to take a gram of oxiracetam and gets way overstimulated and it's uncomfortable, right? Because the way that their brain is signaling acetylcholine is pretty normal, right? So they just don't need that huge influx. Let's talk about low testosterone. I mean, this is a huge one, because the lower your test is for your body, and I think it's an important point to make, because some men will perform really, really optimally at 700 on the total test scale and on the mid to high level on their free testosterone range. And then some men are going to need to get their total tests up to near supraphysiological levels, 1100, 1200 nanograms per deciliter, and on the very high end of the reference range on free testosterone to feel normal. So the set point is different for different people. When guys have low testosterone for their set point, the way that they respond to nootropics is different. So here's an example. A guy with low test will look at nootropics and go, okay, from the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. period in the workday, I really kind of just lack energy. And they're eating fine and they're sleeping fine, and testosterone is at the root of their energy issues. Well, they'll be relying on nootropics for that time and be sort of requesting from nootropics, that's what they're trying to get out of nootropics, to function from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., to have energy throughout that entire time and to have a fully functional brain throughout that entire time, sidestepping this idea that testosterone needs to be optimized and then solely relying on nootropics to have that kind of energy throughout that time. Now look, especially me, I'm a master at crafting nootropic stacks for people that are targeted to be to be able to do stuff like that, but it's usually not sustainable. You can get away with it for a certain period of time, but ultimately, if you're that guy, you've got to work on your testosterone. Because just think about coming into a situation, the work day, and being like, I need 5 stacks for 5 days of the week. That'll get me through an 8-hour workday. Something is very, very wrong with your ask in that particular situation and your own awareness of what drives energy. People with actual deficiencies in neurotransmitters require more nootropics and respond differently to nootropics than like other people. People with GABA deficiencies, legitimate GABA deficiencies, where GABA is either not being produced correctly or being transmitted correctly from the GABA origination areas in the brain, or binding to receptors correctly, and therefore there's really no activated GABAergic response. Those people tend to need higher quantities of compounds like picamilin, as an example, right? Which is basically a blood-brain barrier crossing version of GABA. They've got a B vitamin, lab synthetically bonded with GABA, the actual GABA molecule, to make picamilin so that it crosses into the brain through the blood-brain barrier and starts affecting brain tissues and brain chemistry. People with lower levels of GABA require higher levels of GABAergic nootropics to get results and to function normally. People that eat primarily rapidly prepared food or fast food that is obviously nutrient deficient and usually isn't whole food and usually filled with stabilizers to help the stuff to not go bad. Diets that are essentially devoid of vegetables, which means you're devoid of phytochemicals and antioxidants. As a result, you probably have a good degree of oxidative damage in your brain, literally among neurons and brain tissue. So as a result of that, those people will require higher doses of certain nootropics to feel good and feel normal, and particularly antioxidant nootropics. Like, folks are going to do well with alpha lipoic acid. They'll do well with neuroprotective nootropics like aniracetam, oxiracetam, and sunifaram. They may even do well with nootropics that are fostering LTP, long-term potentiation, like Hydro-21, because their brain is just not in a very healthy state via the stuff that they're eating, and in some sense the stuff that they're missing because they're not eating like a vegetable-rich diet. Not to say that vegetables are all you have to eat or whatever. Obviously, eat beef, eat fish, eat eggs, because they're all very nutrient dense, but you get the point. And then lastly, sleep deficits. This is the classic example, sleep deficits. If your sleep is crappy, there's no question that you're going to respond much differently to nootropics. You're going to respond to higher doses of pretty much everything. You're going to kind of require, over the course of the day, if you consistently have bad sleep, to be taking compounds like modafinil, like high-dose racetams, like modafinil-racetam combinations, like teacrine, like dynamine, like theobromine, like tyrosine, like phenylalanine, some of these really stimulant-like nootropics, just to kind of get you through the day and have energy. Back to that example of the dude who goes, I need a nootropic stack from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to get me through that 8 hours. Wrong way of thinking, man. You've got to be focused on whatever is making it so that you don't have energy in that time frame. Look, everybody's energy is going to ebb and flow, even mine, and I am as optimal as I can get and always learning to optimize new things. And still my energy is not perfectly streamlined. So yours isn't going to be too, especially if you're not eating well, or especially if you're not sleeping well. Don't be that guy that's I need a nootropic stack from 8 a.m. in the morning till 4 or 5, and I need it to last the entire time. Otherwise, I'm dead in the water. You have a fucking problem, my friend, and you need to fix your whatever, and in this case, sleep. Folks that have crappy sleep require higher doses of nootropics to function normally. Now look, I understand situations, this is why nootropics, one of the ways in which they're useful, because there are situations in which you kind of can't help some of this stuff, right? You have a newborn baby and your newborn baby is crying and you're waking up every 3 hours with your wife or your girl and you guys are tending to the newborn baby and you're not getting good sleep, and then you've got to go to work because you've got to hustle and make money for everybody. I totally understand that, in which case, do the best you can, use nootropics intelligently, accordingly, etc., right? And then other sort of limiting situations in which you just really can't control the outcome, you're going to have to be relying on nootropics to function better throughout the day. Nootropics on top of a really, really optimized baseline are like the bread and butter of what I want to get across to you folks as it relates to nootropics, because they're not the full picture. And I want to talk about that more and more so folks fully understand. Because again, I mean, I get a lot of clients, you know, and I see situations in which guys are like trying to request like what, you know, getting a nootropic stack for an 8-hour work week, or like, you know, certain tasks that they're going to do, or just like to feel somewhat normal, and they're trying to avoid addressing the other issues. You know, it's like this elephant in the room as far as I'm concerned, but as far as they're concerned, it's like this thing that doesn't exist or something, right? That are putting them in a place where they don't function awesome normally. You want to function as optimally as you can normally. If you're a hard charging individual, or if you want to be a goal-oriented, achievement-oriented man, then you definitely want to optimize every facet of physiology and make it fun. I know it doesn't seem fun that you can't drink a lot, you can't eat like shit, but what are you going to do? You can't just rely on performance optimization substances without a healthy baseline. And the folks that continually have unhealthy baselines, whether it's within their control or not, definitely require higher doses of nootropics and end up using them differently, requiring more of an influx of those compounds into the mix. And ultimately, it is optimal to have every aspect of physiology that's within your control and your knowledge highly, highly functional, so that the cherry on top of your already really great energy is nootropics. I mean, that's the greatest way to use them, because you're walking around pretty much a machine anyway, and then you put nootropics in the mix and forget it. You're like God level productivity. 7 years ago, I created what is being called the only pre-made nootropic stack that actually works. Been on the market for a long time. We're going on a decade, and it is called Cortex. It is built for motivation, mental energy, verbal fluency, and that drive to do work. It is predominantly an acetylcholine and a dopamine-centered nootropic with hints of CAMP production, which is energy production in the brain. The synergy of the ingredients in Cortex makes it a very powerfully stimulating nootropic stack. So go support us, buy a bottle of the Cortex stack at livecortex.com, and support yourself, frankly, because that stuff is going to give you rockin' brain function. The best way to get it is on auto ship. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about getting Cortex, just have it shipped to your doorstep every 30 days. If it turns out you don't love the stack, which some people, they may not jive with you well. I mean, we have a very high success rate with the stack, but if you don't respond to it well, just cancel auto ship and you'll never be billed again, and it will never come to your doorstep again. But for most folks that respond really well to it, which is going to be most of you, have it shipped every 30 days. You're going to thank me later. For those of you interested in trying to figure out how to put nootropic stacks together a lot more intelligently than perhaps you have been, and certainly that is what out there on the web, like Reddit and nootropics forums, you need to look at our Nootropics courses. Number one, the Nootropics Ground Zero course. This is for people that are brand new. So like if you just started getting into nootropics and you're using that to optimize brain performance, do yourself a favor and watch Ground Zero, because it will give you so much of the staple understanding of nootropics that you will probably save about 3 years getting that course. We've got higher level courses like the Nootropics Masterclass, and that is a stack-ridden, much more advanced nootropics course that shows you how to put stacks together in a really, really intelligent way, and also gives you very, very high-level stacks to give you an idea of the framework of how your nootropic stack should be. And then at the highest level is the Nootropics God course. I mean, this is where I'm at. So if you were to try to extrapolate or take out of me my 16 years going on of experience using nootropics and how I formulate, adjust, schedule, and rotate my nootropic stacks, you would want to get Nootropics God course. That thing is sick, and it is also stack-ridden. Lastly, if you'd like to work with me, if you need my help, let's get on a call and handle stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, like, because I have this sort of black box of information over the course of the last 16 years in neurohacking and testosterone hacking and hormone hacking and energy hacking, that I can take you out of like this place of the unknown. Like there may be an issue with your physiology that you can't figure out, that you're spending hours researching, trying to understand what's happening. But I've been through it with clients before, and I understand how the system that is underlying, your particular issue works, and can help you, give you direction on how to move forward, give you regimens on how to get out of your situation, improve your situation, and a host of other things. If you need me to give you advice on testosterone, I certainly can. I mean, if you're one of those guys, it's like, I'm not sure if I should go on something like HCG, if that makes sense, if I need to hack gonadotropins, or if I need to go on full-blown TRT, like what are you gonna do? Because if your test is not in an optimal place, you definitely have to do something. Book a call with me if you need help with any of this stuff and a host of other things. Go to the consulting page and you'll see all the stuff that I do and work on and kind of what my expertise is. If you would like to see me with your favorite podcaster, whether it is Derek from More Plates, More Dates, or it's Joe Rogan, or it's whoever that you watch, like whoever, email them, tweet them, comment on their YouTube channels that you would like them to do an interview with Ryan Michael Ballo from Cortex Labs. Otherwise, it's been epic hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much for being with me. Hope you guys had a great 4th. Hope you're having a great week, and I will chat with you soon.